want to explore how we can take some rock and plastic recordings and turn them into more stylized electric, lightning, and thunder type sounds like the ones you just heard in the intro. But first, I want to thank Rock the Speaker Box for sending me their most recent 4 Elements library that we'll be using for the raw recordings in this design. If you're interested in picking it up, you can check out the link in the description. I also want to try something a little new in this session, so for the sake of brevity, instead of showing all the plugins one at a time, I'm going to be showing them all at once instead. So you can let me know if this is more easy or difficult to digest. So for this first batch of building blocks, I used some of the granular plastic recordings that they provided. And also some of these rolling debris. It's already got a little bit of processing going on, but I decided to slow them down just a tad. And then I ran them through this effects chain, which is pretty similar to some of the ones you've seen before. Then for the next building block, I called this one Harsh Detail Zap, and we started with some of the, again, processed earth textures. This one's called Harsh Detail. And there was just slowed down again. This has got a little bit of processing going on. If I had to estimate, it's probably some kind of granular something. It's a little bit juiced up from your standard rock recording, but overall I'd still consider it pretty raw and certainly a few steps away from what I'd want for the electricity design. So then I applied this processing chain. This next one's called Mega Distorto, and you'll see why very shortly, but I used some of the earth impact sounds that they provided. This second one looks like it was using some plastic bag crunches. And basically what I did is applied a ton of distortion and compression to get some of that crackling energy sort of sound out of it. This next one I called High Juice, and I was really going for some more high-frequency, zappy sort of textures here. I reached for the granular stone crunch recordings. And then I got pretty heavy-handed with the modulation processing going on. For this one that I called Reclip Rumble, I did an interesting process, but we started with some of the rolling debris again. That's just pitched down slightly, and then I applied a lot of clipping into a declip plugin, which then is followed up by more clipping at the output. Then finally for our last building block, this one's a bit more performance oriented, but I was reaching for some of the same harsh detail and rolling debris source you already heard. And I called this one Crumbly Tracer, mostly because of the spin tracer that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. And so with all those building blocks recorded, I felt like I had all the ingredients I needed to move ahead with the design. So what we have is a little lead-in, and then a little impact, and then a little tail. So we're going to start with the lead-in, and our first layer here is using the Crumbly Tracer with just a little bit of a high shelf to reduce some of the harshness on the top end. And our next layer is the high juice. Again, we're doing a very similar thing here, just a little bit of high shelf reduction. Then our third layer is going to be from the rock reel flange. This one has a bit of a high pass to take out some of the mud. And then right before the impact hits, we have this last layer here, which again is from the Crumbly Tracer, and we're doing a little bit of high mid reduction. Then for the impact, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the bus processing just for now. We'll work down layer by layer. Starting with this one, this is our harsh Detail Zap, and I just put a little bit of a Transient designer to emphasize the attack. Then we have a high juice layer again. Very zappy. And then there's more harsh detail over here. Combined, those sound like this. It's got a nice little multi-transient hit, and I just applied this bus processing to emphasize it a little more. We have two body/tail layers here, I would consider them. The first one is from our Crumbly Tracer yet again. Giving some, it's mostly noise honestly, but it does have a little bit of that like electric zappy character to it. Then we have our Reclip Rumble with just a touch of disperser. And I would probably consider this part of the body character layer as well. This is the Mega Distorto, slowed down quite a bit to 0.25. I've just added even more distortion on top with Decapitator. And then for our tail elements, once again, I'm going to disable the bus processing, which is just some reverb in this case. We listen to our first layer, which is the Crumbly Tracer. This one I got a lot of mileage out of, as you can tell, and I just high passed this one in particular. Just to give some sort of arcing that went out as the sound faded away. And then some more rock reel flange. This one has got some low shelf and mid reduction going on. Almost like thunder echoing out. And then we have another layer of the rock reel flange, and this one very similarly has just a low shelf reduction going on. So those combined go like this. And then I just use Stratus with one of the outdoor presets to make it sound like it's a little bit more, give it a little more space, right? So here's our full mixdown without any of the mastering going on. It's got some great character. I just wanted to apply, as I usually do, some bus processing to tie things all together. So I'll just play that for you all at once. And that's all we got. Again, let me know if seeing every step one by one is helpful for folks, or if this more streamlined process is more preferred.